So phylum Netophora, they are also called as sea walnuts or comb jellies. So phylum Platyhelminthes, they are dorsoventrally flattened. The flame cell is nothing but they are the cells which function just like the kidney. Tapeworm is the most common parasite that is found in the intestines of animals and human beings, which causes malnutrition. It also causes stomach disorders and all that. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to another session on chapter 4, that is Animal Kingdom. I'm Dr. Divya, Biology faculty, Vidyashram Pre-University College, Mysore, Temple of Excellence. So in the previous session, we had studied about two phylum under the kingdom Animalia, that is phylum Porifera and phylum Coelenterata, which is also called as Cnidaria. So in those two phylums, we study their characteristic features wherein they had differences in the body symmetry, differences in the digestion process, differences in the arrangement of the cells. So the poriferans had a cellular level of organization, and when it comes to the coelenterates, they had multicellular level of organization. So all these differences were there. And you might have noticed one thing, when I was talking about the habitat, both were marine, that is, they were found in seas and oceans. But based on that alone, can the classification be done? No, right? So that is why the other characteristics also was considered, and based on the similarities between the organisms, they were classified as Porifera and Cnidaria. So apart from those two phylums, there are also other phylums that are present under the kingdom Animalia. So we shall study about a few today. So moving on to the third phylum under the kingdom Animalia, they are the Cnetophora, phylum Cnetophora. So phylum Cnetophora, they are also called as sea walnuts or comb jellies. So they are also called as sea walnuts or comb jellies. And the name itself suggests sea walnuts means they are marine. They are usually found in oceans and in the seas. Oceans and seas, they are marine in habitat, and they are diploblastic. So here again, phylum Porifera was also diploblastic. Then phylum Coelenterates were diploblastic. Again here, phylum Cnetophora, they are also diploblastic. But there is a difference here now. Phylum Porifera had exhibited cellular level of organization. Phylum Coelenterates, they have tissue level of organization. Phylum Cnetophora also have tissue level of organization. So again, we should look at the other characteristics which makes the animals different, and that is why they were placed separately under phylum Cnetophora. So I told you the phylum Cnetophora, they are diploblastic. So what are diploblastic? Again here, the body is covered by 3 layers. So here diplo means 2 layers, okay. So it is the endoderm, which is the inner layer, endoderm, and the ectoderm. So in between the endoderm and the ectoderm, there is one layer which is mesoglia. But it is not considered. Why? Because they do not have proper cells. That is, they do not have differentiated cells. That is why in spite of this, they are diploblastic, mesoglia. So 1 and 2 layers are present. So that is why they are diploblastic. That is, during the embryonic development, they have 2 layers. Next is they have tissue level of organization. So you know already what it is. And also they have one peculiar or specialized feature, that is bioluminescence. So bioluminescence is nothing but giving color. Luminescence, it is nothing but light. Bio, something related to biological, means in some of the organisms, they have inside their body, they produce certain chemical compounds which make them glow, which make them light. So that is why they are called as bioluminescence. So you might have seen in while watching certain National Geographic channels or Discovery channels, you might have seen they show beautiful seas wherein in some of the seas, no, in the tide, you can find the tide glowing blue color. Why? Because comb jellies or the sea walnuts would be present, and which is that those are the ones which gives the glow to the ocean waves. So that is nothing but bioluminescence. So next, moving on to the structure. So when we see the structure, they are radially symmetrical. So there are some characteristics which are similar. To make you understand why they have placed under two different phylum, I'll just tell you. I'll compare with coelenterate, which I had done in the previous session, and these Ctephoras. Okay, so here almost similar characteristics are there. What are there? Both coelenterates and Ctephoras, they are marine, they are diploblastic, then they have tissue level of organization. Now one more character is also matching. What is that? Radial symmetry. That is, both the coelenterates and Ctephora, they exhibit body character wherein they can be cut into different planes, mirror images. So they are nothing but radially symmetrical. So apart from that, there is one feature which differentiates them from the coelenterates and the Ctephoras. What is that? Is they have comb plates. So in the body, when you see this example I've taken here of Pleurobrachia, which is an animal that comes under the Ctephora. So here they have different comb plates. So you can see here, right, comb plates are present. And in this comb plates, actually cilia is present. So they have comb plates, that is external 8 rows of cilia. So the same thing I'll just draw here and show you here. So they have comb plate 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here they have plate-like structures which are nothing but cilia that is present. So that is why they are also called as comb jellies. Comb jellies means it looks, you have seen a comb, right? Everybody uses a comb. Just how in a comb the teeth are present, just like that here also on the plate the cilia are arranged in the form of teeth, that is comb teeth. So that is why it is also called as comb jellies. So that is why they are also called as the comb jellies. So there is one more thing, that is comb plates, wherein the body will bear 8 external rows of cilia, and these cilia, they actually, you know the function of the cilia and the flagella. So bacteria, they have cilia, right? Also we had talked about flagella. So they are the organs which help in locomotion. So they are almost hair-like like this. Say for example, they are hair-like like this, cilia. So they help in locomotion. So when it moves one backward and forward like this, no, it will help the organism to move forward. So that is how they help in locomotion. So these comb plates, they contain cilia which help in the locomotion. So this is all one of the important structure that is present in the Ctephoran. And next, moving on to the reproduction. So here the sexes are not separate, right? Remember, they had asexual form and sexual form, right? They had alternation of generation. But here, all that alternation of generation and all that is not there. So from here onwards, when it comes to the presence of the cilia plates or the reproduction, there is difference. That is why these organisms have been placed under a separate phylum, that is Ctenophora. Though they have majority of the characters similar to that of the Cnidarians. So that is a difference there. So the sexes, they are not separate, means the male and the female reproductive part, they are present in one organism itself. And when we talk about the reproduction, it is by sexual means of reproduction, only by sexual means. There is no asexual means, that is neither fragmentation. So sponges, they had fragmentation as the asexual reproduction, right? But here no fragmentation is there, no asexual method of reproduction, that is production of spores or something is there. Here it is just that the reproduction is by sexual means. And when it comes to fertilization, it is external. So external fertilization will take place. There the fertilization can be internal or external. Here the fertilization is completely external with the indirect development. So indirect development means progeny will not look like the adult. There is some intermediate development there. So here they have an indirect development and the fertilization is external. This is about the reproduction. So these characteristics of the body symmetry, especially the characteristics of the reproduction, will differentiate between the Ctenophora and the Cnidarians. So this is the differences. So next, moving on to few of the examples that I have taken. One is Pleurobrachia. So Pleurobrachia, I've already told you they have plates. Can you see here? It is clearly visible. Can you see this part here? It has comb-like structure. right? It is just like a comb. These are the cilia. This hair-like structure is the cilia. It is just like a comb that we use. So that is why they are all, and it is jelly-like. That is why it is also called as comb jellies. That is comb jellies. So these are pleurobrachia. Pleurobrachia. Next, one more example I have taken is of Netoplana. So Netoplana, it just looks like a water bubble. Here also can you see they have plates. So here you can see plates like this and comb-like structure. So here plates with cilia like this you can see here in the diagram. So again here, this is the characteristic features of these organisms. So remember the Netophora what I had shown, that is Cnidarians or the coelentrates what I had shown, and with this is one of the distinguishing character that is present in these organisms, which distinguishes, that is differentiates the Netophora from the coelentrates or the Cnidarians. So this is Teno, can also call it Tenoplana, Ctenoplana. So what is common here? The presence of comb-like structures or comb plates in which the cilia is present. So these are the two examples. So next, moving on to one more phylum that is under the kingdom Animalia. It is phylum. So it is phylum Platyhelminthes. So phylum Platyhelminthes, they are dorsoventrally flattened. Dorsal side as well as the upper. So say for example, this is a Platyhelminthes. So that is the upper or the dorsal side, and the ventral side, the lower side, it is just flattened. That is why they are also called as flatworms. So Platyhelminthes, they are also called as flatworms. So they are also called as flatworms. And why? Because they are dorsiventrally flattened body, therefore they are also called as flatworms, and they are most of the time habitat. So now see here, when I came to phylum Platyhelminthes, these are completely different from the sponges, the Netophora and the Cnidaria, right? It is completely different. No connection, no similarity at all between them. Especially Netophora and Cnidaria, they actually had at least a few similarities to certain extent. But remember this is completely different organism, animals. So that is why animal kingdom is diverse. It is very, very vast. Actually, they are endoparasites. So endo means inside. So endo means inside, means they live as parasites inside animals and also inside human beings. So these are endoparasites, especially they can be found inside animals and human beings. So what happens here is, maybe sometimes you walk barefoot, wherein in your leg you have a wound or something, and you walk barefoot. The Platyhelminthes, a flatworm, may enter into your body through the wound and it will start growing inside your body. That is especially in the intestine area. So that is why they are called as parasites, and they start feeding on your body. So that is why it is very dangerous, and also it causes a lot of diseases. So therefore they are mostly endoparasitic, that is they are found, they are parasitic, living inside the body. They can also be living inside the body of the animals and the human beings. And here now one more character. So far that we had studied about Porifera, the coelentrates and the Netophoras, they all were diploblastic, right? From phylum Platyhelminthes, you can see they are triploblastic. That is, they are made up of three layers. They're covered, the embryo is actually covered by 3 layers. What are the 3 layers? One is the ectoderm. Outer, it is the ectoderm. Then we have the mesoderm. Middle, derm, covering or layer. Then we have the endoderm. Then comes the endoderm. So here, how many layers are there? 1, 2 and 3. Therefore, triple means 3. Therefore, it is triploblastic. And it is acoelomate. They don't have a coelom. They don't have body cavity. Unlike sponges and all that, can you see a body cavity here? No. No body cavity here. So that is why they are acoelomate. So when you cut it, in between there is no hollow thing or something. there's no cavity. So therefore they are acoelomate, and here onwards they have organ level of organization. So here they have organ level of organization, but in the case of sponges, they had the cellular level of organization, and when we talked about the coelenterate and the Ctenophora, they had tissue level of organization. But these group of animals that comes under the phylum Platyhelminthes, they don't have a coelom. Because why there is no coelom? Because they have organ within their body. That is why there is no cavity. Organs are there. But there and all in other phylum, they didn't have an organ, right? That is the difference here. So they have organ level of organization. So we shall see what are the different organs that are present there. They have the eye spot, then they have intestine, then mouth and anus, all these are there. They have all these. They have a flame cell. So flame cell is nothing but they are the cells which function just like the kidney. So how kidney helps in eliminating the waste materials, right? Just like that in phylum Platyhelminthes, these flame cells, the same thing that we have elaborated here like this, a bigger version of this. So they help in elimination of the excretory waste. So we'll study the structure in detail. So these are bilaterally symmetrical. So far we had studied about asymmetry, then we had studied about radial symmetry. But these organisms, they are bilaterally symmetrical. That is, you can cut them into two equal halves. I'll show you here. So I'll just draw a line middle here, exact one line here. So can you see this half and this half is completely same. It is exact like twins. They are copies of each other. They are mirror images of each other. That is why they are bilaterally symmetrical. And apart from that, I told you they are parasitic inside animals and plants, right? So what these organisms do is, they should not get eliminated from the body, inside a body. That is why they have hooks and suckers. So what is the function of hooks? To cling on to something, right? We use hooks to attach to something. The same way they have hooks and suckers in order to, suckers also you have seen nowadays we have suction cups and all that. Those suction cups, what it will do, the vacuum will just hold any of the thing, like say for example anything you want to stick it to the wall, you have suction cup, so that you with the pressure you can stick it onto the wall. Just like that, these also have suckers. They have suckers and they have hooks. So they will help in clinging onto the intestine or to the digestive system inside the animal and the human body, because they are parasites, right? So they have hooks and suckers, and that is especially present in the parasitic forms. So some of these, they absorb nutrients from the host. So directly through the body surface. So what happens? These flatworms, you might have heard some people, they're going to hospital because they have this flatworm, these roundworms, tapeworms, all those. So tapeworms also, they come under the flatworms. So they will be present inside the intestine or in the digestive system. So what they do is, they will hook on to the inside a digestive system. They will hook on inside the stomach or the intestine, and whatever food we eat, it will start utilizing. That is why we will become malnourished and we will feel tired. That is when we go to the doctor, we are eating so much, still we feel tired, we'll become malnourished. Why? Because the food is not utilized by our body, because it is utilized by the flatworm that is present inside the body. So that is how they absorb nutrients from the host directly through the body surface. So why they absorb nutrients? Because throughout the body surface, they have the organs that are present for the absorbing of the nutrients. They absorb the nutrients directly from the host through the body surface, and also whatever nutrients are absorbed, they should eliminate the waste material, right? So that is done by the flame cells. So flame cells, they help in osmoregulation. Osmoregulation is the movement of the concentration. So osmosis. So you have an experiment wherein potato osmosis. So what happens is you put it in a concentrated solution. So inside our body or the animal body, acids or the content that is present in the stomach is quite concentrated. So in order to maintain the water balance inside the body of this organism and the external environment, That is nothing but osmoregulation, regulating the water balance. So here what happens is osmoregulation is also maintained, and also they help in excretion. So the main function of this flame cells is, for you to easily understand, I can tell they just function like the kidney. In our body it is called the kidney, but in these organisms it is called as the flame cells. So these flame cells, they help in osmoregulation as well as in excretion. So next, moving on to the reproduction. So when we take a reproductive system into consideration, here the sexes are not separate. Means both the male and the female organs are present in the same organism itself. Therefore, the sexes are not separate, and because of that, the fertilization is internal, and they have intermediate development wherein they pass through larva stages. Whatever progeny is produced, first it enters into the larva stage. After it passes through several larva stages, then it becomes an adult. So they have fertilization which is internal, and the development is through many larval stages. So, and some members, this is almost similar to that of coelenterate and the cnidarians, right? Or the cnidophoras. But here, the other characteristics, there is difference. That is why they have put it under platyhelminthes separately. Especially the main characteristic that is different is the organ system level of organization. And here, some of the members, especially planaria, so planaria, what they have is they have high regeneration capacity. So again here, what is regeneration means? Say for example, planaria, if a part of the body is lost, say for example, because of some reason, from here it got cut. So from the head itself, they will start developing a new body part. So I'll just show you here. So I've taken the example of so I'll just draw it here again. I've taken the example of planaria, that is flatworm. So what happens here is, for some reason here, so much from here it will get cut. So the head will become separate, and this body part will become separate. So this head part is there, no? It will again regenerate. It will develop the body again. It will regrow. It will regenerate. So that is one of the features here, regeneration capacity. It is a kind of asexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction as well as asexual reproduction also exist in these particular organisms. That is planaria, for example, they have the regeneration capacity. So next, moving on to some of the examples. So the best example for platyhelminthes, which are also called as the flatworm, is tapeworm. It is also called Taenia. So tapeworm is the most common parasite that is found in the intestines of animals and human beings, which causes malnutrition. It also causes stomach disorders and all that. So we have tapeworm. So this is Taenia or tapeworm. Can you see here? It is tape-like. It is like a tape. That is why it is called as tapeworm. And also, there is one fact in science, that is, if a person is infected with tapeworm, when the tapeworm is present inside the body of an animal or organism, it can grow more than the length of a body. So it has the capacity. Such is the capacity of this particular platyhelminthes species. So by absorbing the nutrition, whatever we eat in the stomach or the intestine, they will start to grow. So they will start to grow. How? In the sense, if the doctor removes the tapeworm out of the body and puts it in a length on the table, it will be more than a height. So to that extent, they can grow as a parasite inside the body of the animals and the human beings. And one more example is the liver fluke. So this is liver fluke, which is also called as phaseola or liver fluke. So these are two examples for the tapeworms. So at the tip, they have suckers or hooks so that they can cling on to the organism if they are parasites. So this was about the phylum Platyhelminthes, and also we studied about the phylum Cnitophora. So you have understood the differences now. So phylum Cnitophora and phylum Coelenterata were almost similar. The differences, they had the comb plates, that is cilia plates, but coelenterates do not have them. So they have tentacles. For locomotion, they have either flagella or the cilia. So these are some of the differences. And also when it comes to Aschelminthes, they are completely different from the other phylum that you have studied so far. And they have an organ system level of organization. So this is one of the important characteristic which categorizes them into a separate group called as Ascomynthus when compared to the other phylums that we had discussed so far. So this was about the two phylums under, that is Ctenophora and Ascomynthus under the kingdom Animalia. So I hope you have understood this session well. There are also other phylums that are present under the kingdom Animalia. We shall study and discuss about them in the next coming session. Thank you.